Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner that has a product, service, or message that you truly believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind the scenes look at real world networking and marketing tactics while leveraging LinkedIn to get what you have in front of many more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode for a number of reasons, but namely, number one, we got another interview coming at you. So you're going to meet a great new entrepreneur, maybe someone you didn't know about that now you should. And number two, I love talking to other authors, other serial entrepreneurs, but also people that focus on high performance and really taking everyone to the next level. Daniel Hauge, who's our guest today, is a #1 international bestselling author, serial entrepreneur, and performance coach from Denmark. He helps online business owners and freelancers maximize their personal performance by optimizing their energy levels, mastering their productivity, and reducing burnout, overwhelm, so they can scale their revenues rapidly. I don't know who wouldn't want to jump on board with that, but we're going to talk about all that and more. So, Daniel, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you so much, man. I'm excited to be here, and I'm sure we'll have a great conversation.
Absolutely. So before we kind of get into everything that you're doing now, if I like to go back before we go forward. So if you could personally press rewind on your business journey and press stop at a point where you feel that was your catalytic moment that really catapulted you to everything that you're doing today moving forward, what was that moment for you?
Absolutely. So a very long story made very short is I was very off track in life. I was involved in a little bit of crime, a little bit of drug abuse. I wasn't really going to school or working or anything like that. I was very off track in life until I decided to turn it all around 180. And doing that, I just got obsessed with everything personal growth. And I studied it heavily. And when I found something that worked, I would start sharing it with people. So free PDFs, free videos, start sharing it. And people started liking it, and they started asking for more and for more and for more. And so I started putting things into like little digital trainings and a little ebook and stuff like that. And so essentially, I was selling generic personal growth to everybody. And then I started getting just more and more excited and obsessed about this entrepreneurship thing. And I started going in that direction, and I just loved it, man. And with time, I kind of forgot many of the personal growth things that really got me on track. I started just, neglecting my health, my energy, my productivity, my mindset, my all the things that completely turned my life around. I started neglecting that to build my business. And so what happened was I wasn't performing and my business wasn't performing. And when I realized, wait, I should go back to what was really working, I went back to all the high performance stuff. And that was when my business just really started taking off. And since then, I've kind of dialed in from generic personal growth for everybody to now focusing exclusively on high performance for entrepreneurs.
So there's a lot of buzzwords out there in entrepreneurship, and I think high performance is one of them. So why don't you kind of dive in a little bit deeper of, if someone was to ask you, Daniel, how can you best describe what high performance is or personal performance is? How would you best describe that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So high performance is a ton of different things. If I were to put it all into one sentence, I would say business is input equals output, and high performance is basically scaling your input. So in business, a lot of what you want to do, whether it's your marketing, your sales, your having a team, whatever it is, a lot of it relies on you for that input to give you the output that you want. And so I think optimizing that input is high performance optimization.
So again, I would say some people would say that you took a very unconventional path to get to where you are, ups and downs, crime, drugs, that kind of stuff. Going back to what you may have felt were the darkest of times, were there any lessons that you learned from going through those experiences that you can attribute to a lot of the success that you're having today, but also how you're helping the clients that you're working with succeed as well.
Absolutely. So first of all, I learned that I could turn my life around. I could do something that big. So now, whenever I'm faced with a challenge in life, I know I did something that was bigger, something that was harder. So now I have that confidence, which is pretty cool. But also I learned that a lot of our problems, if not all of our problems, are in our head. It's overthinking, it's fear, it's insecurity, it's overwhelm, it's a lack of things like mental, physical, emotional energy. And so that's definitely something I've learned. You know, the control that your own performance or the influence that your own performance, your own mindset, all these things have on the actual tangible outcomes in your business and in your life.
Love that. So, you talk about not just in general, but how personal performance of the entrepreneur is one of the main drivers of business growth. If someone was to ask you, "Oh, how is that?" and what led you to feeling that obviously personal performance is one of the main drivers, how would you explain to someone that maybe not doesn't realize that it actually acts as one of those drivers towards success?
Yeah, so I think whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's lead flow or it's growing your brand or it's reaching out to people that you should be reaching out to, first of all, you can do more of it. You can reach out to more podcasts. You can reach out to more people with your cold call, your cold email, whatever. You can reach out to. You can basically do everything that you're doing more if you're dialed in with your energy levels, your focus, your you're in momentum. You're not getting distracted. All these things. But also the quality of the work will be better. So right now, if I were to write a bunch of copy for my ads on my website, or I was about to go on a sales call, I was about to go on a podcast like this, I would rather have the right energy. I'd rather feel good. I'd rather be focused. I'd rather be my best self. And we see these athletes, right? An NBA, NFL player, and they do every single thing in their power to put themselves in situations where they can perform, right? They're in a position to perform. And we look at that and we go, yeah, obviously, of course he takes care of his sleep. Of course he wants to stay focused. He's an athlete. He wants to perform. Yeah, but what about the entrepreneur that has a team he needs to lead? He's on camera a lot, maybe if he's doing a lot of content, stuff like that. He's writing, he's communicating, he's sometimes, working a lot of hours. Why shouldn't he or she be put in a position where their performance is optimal? So that's one thing. But also just I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs. I've been helping people for about 9 years now. And when I ask people, hey, what's your number one problem in business? It's I don't have enough leads. Okay, why don't you have enough leads? Because of this and that. Okay, why? Why? And I go down to the root, and it's almost always, well, I guess it's fear, or I guess it's procrastination, or I guess I'm just overwhelmed. I'm not sure what to focus on when. So I would say most of the entrepreneurs that I work with, especially if like below, I don't know, maybe below 100K per month or stuff like that, it's very much the person that if you dive deep, it's always something related to their own performance or way of thinking or way of working.
So energy optimization is something that really interests me because my wife and I focus on optimizing one's, I would say personal flow, but also their business flow. Because if things aren't optimized, there's going to be holes, there's going to be gaps, there's going to be leaks, and things aren't going to flow the right way. So, how would you best describe how one should go about optimizing their own energy?
Absolutely. So very quick before I answer that, I just want to explain why I started, really, really obsessing over this energy thing. I saw an interview with this top guy. He was a top executive. He had, a huge company, a huge charity. He was still coaching soccer on the weekends. He had 4 children, a wife. This was kind of the guy that does it all. And he was asked, I think it was on national TV. He was asked, "How do you manage your time?" And he said, "Time management isn't really the problem. If you can manage your energy, that's the tricky part. If you can manage your energy, you will have the time." And I understand there are people that are very busy. I don't have children or anything yet. I understand there may be some parents out there listening to this and going, and he'll see. But for me, honestly, if I have the energy, I've found I have the time. So optimizing energy, there's a physical aspect. This is much of the stuff that we kind of already know. We should get our sleep. We should stay hydrated. We should have some resistance training. We should have some cardiovascular training. We should stretch. We should, there's some supplements. We should eat well. Stuff like that. Very, very important for your physical energy. But me and my clients have all experienced, or at least many of us have, experienced being very dialed in with our workouts and our diet and stuff like that, but we still feel fatigued in some way, shape, or form because of the mental or the emotional energy. So those are very important to look at and work on as well.
So I know being productive, but also managing one's time are two vital aspects to being able to grow a business, to scale a business, to up level everything that we're doing. My wife Nancy and I talk about this all the time. You know, don't be busy, be productive, right? If you're not managing your time will manage you, and that's where you don't want to be. If you had to pick one of the two, optimizing one's productivity versus optimizing one's time management, where would you lead people first to start to make sure that they have this in place before they move on to the next one?
Oh, that's a great question. I think they're very difficult to disconnect because they very much work together. So I think I'll probably start with time management, and then a lot of your productivity issues will be dissolved on their own. So for me, time management, if you know exactly what you're going to work on and how you're going to work on it and when you're going to work on it and for how long, etc., etc. So you have maybe a workflow, you do this first thing, then you do this and you do that, or maybe you have like a hierarchy of priorities. So you'll do this one thing until that's no longer, maybe due to some diminishing returns, it's no longer the highest leverage activity. Now we do the next thing, and you know exactly what to work on when. A lot of the productivity issues, such as procrastination, getting distracted, overwhelm, all these things will kind of diminish because these things are often caused by a lack of clarity. They're often caused by overwhelm, the lack of if anyone's listening to this right now and you're thinking, man, I procrastinated this morning, or I procrastinated yesterday, or ask yourself if there are certain activities that you procrastinate more on than others. Or ask yourself, am I procrastinating more in the morning or in the evenings? Am I procrastinating more on Mondays versus Fridays? Really study your own like procrastination. When are you checking your phone the most? Is it when you're writing that book that you're a little bit, insecure about? Probably is, right? So a clarity, a crystal clear clarity is oftentimes the number one enemy of things like procrastination and stuff like that. So if you have your time management really dialed in, you know exactly what to work on and when, your productivity will basically increase on its own.
Now, between energy optimization, productivity, and time management, what did you struggle the most with that you've been able to overcome yourself?
For me, energy is it's just above everything else. If I have the energy, everything else improves. And when I say everything, I mean my content, my marketing, my sales calls, my team meetings, my everything in business, but also just my life. I'm a better person. I'm a better son, a better brother, a better boyfriend, a better friend, a better stranger to the cashier or the bus driver. I am better in every single way if I'm just full of energy. And I have days or weeks where literally from the second I wake up till the second I go to bed, I'm just fired up. And that's the exact opposite of how I was for years back when I neglected all these personal high performance things. And I'll admit, or even this is gonna sound like exaggeration, but I literally have days now where I'm like 4 or 5 hours into Monday, and I'm like, man, I've done more already in 4 or 5 hours than I would sometimes do in an entire week back then. And if you asked me back then, I would be like, yeah, I'm busy, man. I worked 50 hours this week. I'm a busy, important business person, running from fire to fire, and I wasn't doing anything compared to what I'm doing today. So the energy is the biggest one for sure.
Yeah, for me, when adults use the word busy, that's the adult version of the dog ate my homework, because it's just like busy is such a trigger word for me, because my belief is that we all make time for what's most important to us. And I'll give you a prime example. I have a LinkedIn group coaching program that I launch a couple times a year. It's 12 weeks. And I had an individual that booked a call to claim one of the very few spots that I open up. And they booked a call, highly qualified, and reschedule after they accepted the invitation. They canceled it and then rescheduled it for the week after. And I contacted them and I said, I just want to let you know that you rescheduled after the group program actually begins. It begins on a Monday. You rescheduled for a week after that. And I said, did you have any time before? So literally there was 9 days in between when they originally booked compared to when they rebooked. And they said, sorry, my schedule's crazy right now. I have no time in between now and then. So that always gets me thinking, because every single one of us has the same 24 hours in a day. And you're telling me that you don't have one 30-minute block in the next 9 days where you could hop on a call with me to learn more. So here's the funny thing, Daniel. The person reschedules, and I'm like, cool, we'll talk anyway, no worries. And if you want to jump in, you'll just have to catch up. Send them the new Zoom link for that. And they tentatively accept the invitation. Not yes or no. They maybe'd the appointment that they rescheduled. And when I talk about alarm bells going off, where for me, my time is the most valuable commodity I can give someone, right? Especially when it's, interviewing someone for a program. So I waited a few days. And as I was setting up my calendar, because I only work 3 days a week, so my time is very limited, I reached out and I did a follow-up. Hey, looking forward to speaking in a couple of days. Just want to check in that this time and day still works. And then, as I assumed correctly, they said, actually, I'm too busy right now. I'm going to pass for now. Thanks anyway. And I said, all good, no worries. I'll cancel the appointment and continued success. And there was other words of busy and this. I just, for me, and I get it. Everyone's at a different place. But Daniel, what I try to explain to people is that being busy is actually a mindset. It's a story that you're telling yourself. You're actually creating a narrative that you're busy. And to your point, sometimes I get more done in 60 minutes than I do in 3 days. I just get hyper focused because so many people, there's so many distractions. There's phones, there's tabs, there's everything, dings, bings, whatever. And if you just get a little bit hyper focused, you increase your productivity, you increase your focus, you increase your energy. And you know what feels best? When you get shit done, when you're actually checking things off of that checklist, you're now feeling like you're progressing forward. So my question to you is, before we kind of round out the episode, how does someone start shifting that busy mentality into a productive one?
So one problem that the person you just talked about has, and that I used to have, and that a lot of people have, is that they look at, is this valuable to my business or not? And if it's valuable in any way, I'll put it in my schedule. So I'll give you an example. I looked at in my business, what was one of the number one bottlenecks? Okay, I need to work harder on my personal growth, or sorry, my personal brand. I've been hiding behind my company brand. I need a personal brand. Then I look at, okay, what's the number one way for me to do that? Now, I could have asked my mom to go talk to her friends, right? And, go follow my son. I could have painted a sign and gone to the city and been like, I'm Daniel Hauge, talk to me. But even though all of these things would have grown my personal brand, there are ways you can do it that would do it better, right? Such as going on podcasts, such as yours here. And so what I used to do was I used to look at, okay, is it valuable to read this article about Facebook ads. Yes, it is good. I'll do it. Is it valuable to do this and that and this and that? And as long as I could see some kind of connection to my business or some kind of value to my business, I would do it. And everything is valuable, right? Talking to a prospect or reading an article, everything is valuable in some way, shape, or form. The thing we should start looking at instead is, am I working on my number one bottleneck right now? My number one highest leverage thing I could be working on? And second, am I doing the number one thing in the world that I could be doing to alleviate my number one bottleneck? So when you look at it that way, I could go, is reading this article in the middle of my workday, is that valuable? Yes, but is it the number one thing I could be doing right now? No, it's not. Okay, what about this? What about that? And so what people that are doing really, really well, I have some friends that are doing a lot better than me in business. I'm learning from them a lot. Every time I look at them, they're just so much simpler. They just remove everything that isn't the number one thing. And so I think the issue your person there had was he has a calendar that's just completely full of random things that might have had a little bit of value to him when he booked it or whatever, but he's not clear on what's the number one thing. And so I would recommend to anyone listening to this, spend as much of your workday as you possibly can doing the number one thing that you could be doing to fix your number one bottleneck.
Could not agree more. I mean, again, what you focus on is where your focus and attention is going to go. And the one thing I'm going to finish with, Daniel, before I get to my final question, is you never want to sweep those narratives or those specific bottlenecks under the rug, because they're just going to build up, build up, build up, and they're going to explode into something else. So it's better that you get ahead of it now and give those things the time and attention that they need to actually be corrected, course corrected, and fixed. So again, you can fix the leaks and the holes and the bottlenecks that you may have in your business. So, well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know so many people are going to take so much away from this. And with that being said, let the audience know what you have going on, how they can work with you, and the best way to connect with you offline or on social.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I've been hiding behind my companies for basically always. I am now looking to change that. So, I've built a brand new Instagram account where I will be going way more personal. I'll post daily content. I'll, talk to all of you. If you come to my Instagram, just message me, tell me you saw me on here. I would love to talk to you guys. I will have a bunch of free PDFs. There's going to be an opportunity to, book a call with me if you want to work with me. Everything you could possibly want to do with me or want to have from me, you can do from my Instagram at I am Daniel Hauge. So that's where I recommend people go to. I am Daniel Hauge on Instagram.
Awesome. So all that information that Daniel just shared obviously will be in the show notes, the description of this episode, and the email that gets broadcasted out for all of you to listen. So Daniel, final question before we sign off today. What does success truly mean to you?
A life that is as congruent with my primary values as possible.
Hmm.
So I'm very clear on my values, very clear. So I know my primary values, which are freedom, impact, confidence, these things. And then I have kind of dialed in the ingredients for that. So I know exactly when I say freedom, I know, okay, what kind of location freedom would I want? What kind of financial freedom? What kind of time freedom? Same thing with the confidence, self-respect thing. What kind of confidence do I want? Is it my looks? Is it how I'm perceived socially? What's my confidence? I know my values very, very, very um, clearly, and I want my life to be as consistent with those values as it possibly can, and bonus points for that because that will also drastically improve your emotional energy levels and will reduce stress and burnout and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, Daniel, I wanted to thank you again for coming on to the podcast today. Acknowledging the things that people need to improve is not a negative thing. It's actually a good thing. We're always looking to progress. We're always looking to become better so we can do more, be more, have more, but also leave other people better as you stated so clearly earlier in today's episode. So again, thank you for being here. Grateful for you and your connection, and really, really appreciate the knowledge that you shared with my audience today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been incredible. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. So as Daniel mentioned, all the information about him will be in the show notes. As I mentioned, the email, but also in the description of this episode. So do connect with him if something that he said resonated with you. Connecting with him, having a conversation can never hurt. It can always help. So I just want to thank everybody again for their continued support of this podcast. Don't forget, reach out to us on social at Scott Aaron LinkedIn, on Instagram if you want to share this episode out, but also please subscribe, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes. Leave us a rating and review. Let us know what you loved about the episode and what you would like to hear more of. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your days. Love and gratitude, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. If you could, please support this podcast by hopping over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any place that you're listening to this. Leave us a rating and review. Let us know what you loved most and what you would like to hear more of. But also, if you would like to learn how to take your business to the next level, whether it's using LinkedIn or working directly with myself and Nancy in our intimate group coaching programs, you can head over to www.thetimetogrowth.com or scottaaron.net to learn more. Thank you again for your support, love and gratitude, and I'll talk to you soon.